What if I told you the richest family in the world can't even choose what color nail polish to wear? The British royal family lives in palaces worth billions, wears crowns covered in diamonds, yet they're trapped in a web of rules so strange, so outdated, that you'd think they were written by a madman from the 1500s. Secret handbag codes, banned board games, and funeral outfits packed in every suitcase. These aren't fairy tales. This is their actual life. Today, we're pulling back the velvet curtain on 50 rules that will make you grateful you weren't born royal. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll realize being a commoner is actually the ultimate freedom. Let's dive in. Rule. Here's a rule. That sounds like a joke, but is completely real. The entire royal family is banned from playing Monopoly, not because it's boring, but because they literally cannot control themselves. Prince Andrew once admitted in an interview that games get too vicious when real estate tycoons play a game about fake real estate. Picture this. People who actually own castles fighting over plastic hotels. The Queen herself had to step in and ban the game forever after one too many royal tantrums. Your family fights over Monopoly too, but at least you're allowed to play. Isn't that rule? To imagine being worth billions, but being told you can never eat shrimp again. Royals are strongly discouraged from eating any shellfish, especially lobster, crab, and oysters. Why? Because food poisoning from shellfish hits fast and hits hard. One bad oyster at a state dinner could send the future king to the bathroom during a meeting with world leaders. The headlines would be brutal. Some younger royals like William have broken this rule quietly, but officially, that lobster thermidor is off the menu forever. Ask yourself, could you give up seafood for a crown? Rule 3. Every single time a royal packs a suitcase, they must include something morbid, a complete black mourning outfit. This isn't optional. This is the law. The rule exists because in 1952, young Princess Elizabeth was on a trip to Kenya when her father, King George VI, suddenly died. She was stuck inside her airplane for hours because she had no black dress to wear for the cameras. Since that embarrassing moment, every royal must be prepared for death at all times. Imagine packing for a fun beach vacation and your assistant says, "Don't forget your funeral clothes." That's their reality. Rule 4. If you love garlic bread, you could never survive as a royal. Garlic has been completely banned from all royal kitchens for decades. The late Queen Elizabeth II absolutely hated it, and King Charles has continued the tradition. The reason? Royals spend their entire lives shaking hands, having close conversations, and meeting foreign leaders inches from their face. Garlic breath is considered a minor diplomatic disaster, so while they eat on golden plates with silver forks, they'll never enjoy a proper Italian meal. The crown comes with many sacrifices, and apparently garlic butter is one of them. Rule 5. Here's a rule that sounds like paranoia, but is actually smart survival strategy. The top heirs to the throne are forbidden from flying on the same airplane. King Charles and Prince William almost never travel together by air. The logic is terrifyingly simple. If the plane crashes, the entire line of succession doesn't die in one moment. Once Prince George gets older, he'll be separated from his father on flights too. Every family vacation becomes a complicated multi-plane operation. It's morbid planning that reminds them daily their lives belong to the crown, not to themselves. Rule 6. If you ever meet a royal in person, don't bother asking for an autograph. They are strictly forbidden from signing anything for fans. The reason? Their signatures could be forged onto checks, legal documents, or sold for massive profits on eBay. So while every celebrity on Earth signs autographs, the royals are basically unsignable. They might take a selfie with you if they're feeling generous, but that pen will never touch paper. They're simultaneously the most famous people on Earth, and the only ones who can't prove they met you. Rule 7. King Charles didn't just inherit the throne. He also brought his personal ethics into the palace. One of his first acts was banning foie gras from all royal residences. For those who don't know, foie gras is a luxury French dish made by force-feeding ducks until their livers become fatty. Charles finds the process cruel and unnecessary, so while the royals live in unimaginable luxury, they can't eat one of the world's most expensive delicacies. It's rare to see a king's personal morals become law for everyone around him. Would you ban your favorite food if you had that power? Rule 8. One of the most bizarre jobs in the royal household is the poet laureate. This person writes poems for major royal events like coronations and weddings. But here's the crazy part. Since 1630, part of their salary has been paid in wine, specifically 600 bottles of sherry every single year. Imagine finishing a stressful deadline writing about the king's birthday and your boss says, "Great work! Here's a bathtub full of alcohol." It's the most writer-friendly payment system in government history. Would you become a poet if your salary was unlimited free drinks? Rule 9. Eating dinner with the king sounds glamorous until you learn this rule. When the king stops eating, everyone stops eating. It doesn't matter if you just got your food. It doesn't matter if you're starving. The moment the royal fork goes down, your meal is officially over. During Queen Elizabeth's reign, she was known to be a very fast eater, which meant guests often left state dinners still hungry. Imagine spending hours getting dressed for a fancy meal only to eat 3 bites before being cut off. The most powerful dining table in the world is also the most stressful. Rule 10. Forget iPhone alarms. The king wakes up every single morning to a Scottish bagpiper playing directly under his window. At exactly 9 a.m., the royal piper blasts music for 15 straight minutes. This tradition has existed for over 170 years. It doesn't matter if the king had a late night or a headache. Those bagpipes are non-negotiable. It's the loudest alarm clock on earth, and there's no snooze button. Could you imagine starting every day of your life with screaming Scottish pipes? Some would call it tradition. Others would call it torture. Rule 11. If you see a royal woman wearing a tiara, she's sending a very specific message. She's married. Tiaras are strictly forbidden for unmarried women except on their wedding day. It's basically a giant diamond sign that says, taken. If a princess shows up to a gala wearing only a small headpiece, everyone in the room knows she's technically single. It's the most expensive relationship status indicator in history. Some call it tradition. Others call it a weird way to publicly label women based on their marital status. Rule 12. The royal family holds more influence than almost anyone in Britain, but they're completely forbidden from voting or expressing any political opinions. They must remain neutral no matter what. If King Charles tweeted his thoughts on a new law, it would cause a constitutional crisis. They sit in palaces and attend parliament, but they have less democratic power than any ordinary citizen. It's a strange trade-off: infinite wealth and zero political voice. Would you give up your right to vote in exchange for a castle? Rule 13. Every single royal bride since Queen Victoria has been required to carry one specific item in her bouquet: a sprig of myrtle. But it can't be any myrtle. It must come from a bush that Queen Victoria herself planted at Osborne House over 170 years ago. The flower symbolizes love and good fortune, and skipping it is considered a terrible omen for the marriage. The pressure on the royal gardener is insane. One wrong pruning mistake and you've basically cursed the future queen's wedding. That's a level of botanical stress most people can't imagine. Rule 14. When a royal baby is born, the parents don't just pick a cute name from the internet. They must choose from an extremely limited pool of traditional family names: George, Charlotte, William, Elizabeth, Arthur, the same names recycled for centuries. While Harry and Meghan famously broke this rule with Archie and Lilibet, the core royals stay very conservative. Imagine your child's name being essentially chosen by your great-great-great-grandparents. Personal preference means nothing when you're continuing a 1,000-year-old brand. Rule 15. Royal women are forbidden from wearing bright or colorful nail polish during official duties. Only nude shades, clear coats, or one specific pale pink called ballet slippers are acceptable. Anything red, bold, or trendy is considered unprofessional and distracting. It's a tiny detail that most people wouldn't notice, but it's another example of how every inch of a royal's body is controlled. From their head to their fingertips, nothing belongs to them. Could you live a lifetime never wearing your favorite nail color? Rule 16. If you need to use the bathroom during a royal dinner, you can't just announce it. There's a strict protocol. You simply say "excuse me" and quietly leave without explaining where you're going. The goal is to prevent anyone from imagining the king or queen doing normal human things. The illusion must be maintained that these people are somehow above basic bodily functions. It's dignified, sure, but also a weird reminder that even their bathroom breaks are a surprisingly wholesome rule. Royal Christmas presents must be cheap, funny gag gifts. While most people expect billionaires to exchange diamonds and designer items, the royals actually compete to find the silliest, most ridiculous presents possible. Kate Middleton once gave Prince Harry a grow-your-own-girlfriend kit as a joke. They open presents on Christmas Eve, German tradition, rather than Christmas morning. It's nice to know that even the most formal family on Earth enjoys a good $5 prank gift. Rule 18. If you've ever seen photos of young Prince George or Prince Louis, you've noticed they always wear shorts, never trousers. This isn't a fashion choice. It's a centuries-old British upper-class tradition. Long pants on young boys are considered middle class. So royal children must wear shorts until they're around 8 years old. It doesn't matter if it's freezing winter in Scotland. Those royal knees must remain exposed. It's a bizarre rule that makes every royal toddler look like they stepped out of a 1920s storybook. Rule 19. Royals receive thousands of gifts every year from fans and world leaders. Everything from handmade cards to live elephants. But here's the twist. They can't keep most of them. Any gift received during official duties technically belongs to the crown, not the person. They can't sell them, regift them, or even use them without special permission. Most end up in massive government storage facilities. Imagine receiving a beautiful watch and immediately handing it over to a warehouse. That's the royal gift-receiving experience. Rule 20. You rarely see King Charles holding hands with Queen Camilla in public. Same with William and Catherine. While there's no official written rule, there's a strong unspoken protocol against public displays of affection. During official appearances, they're technically at work, so they behave like professional colleagues rather than married couples. Looking too romantic is seen as distracting and unprofessional. It's a cold way to live, acting like co-workers with your own spouse every time cameras are around. Rule 21 King. Charles celebrates his birthday twice every year. His real birthday is in November, but the official celebration happens in June, with a massive parade called Trooping the Colour. Why? Because British weather in November is terrible, and a summer celebration looks better for cameras and crowds. So the king literally moved his own birthday to a month with better weather. If you could legally reschedule your birthday to a sunnier month, would you? It's either brilliant or incredibly vain. Maybe both. Rule 22 here's a disturbing law that technically still exists. The king has legal custody over all his minor grandchildren. This rule was created by King George II in the 1700s because he hated his own son and wanted to control his grandchildren's education and travel. While it's not strictly enforced today, the law remains on the books. Imagine your grandfather having more legal rights over your children than you do. It's a family dynamic that would make any therapist's head explode. Rule 23 for royal women. Accessories change based on the time of day. Before 6 p.m., hats and fascinators are required for formal events. After 6 p.m., the hats come off and tiaras come out, but only for married women. It's like a fancy version of Cinderella, except instead of losing a shoe at midnight, you're swapping a feathered hat for millions of dollars in diamonds at sunset. Someone on staff is definitely checking the clock to make sure the hat-to-tiara transition happens on time. Rule 24, according to a law from 1324 that's still technically active, the king owns all whales, dolphins and sturgeons in British waters. These are called royal fish. If you catch a sturgeon off the coast of England, you're legally supposed to offer it to the king first. It's a bizarre medieval holdover that makes the monarch the official owner of the ocean's strangest creatures. Most people don't know this law exists, but technically, the king could claim your fishing catch at any moment. Rule 25. The royals must accept every single gift they receive, no matter how strange. Over the years, they've been gifted live crocodiles, elephants, tortoises, and even entire collections of human teeth. They must smile, say thank you, and act grateful even if someone hands them a completely useless wooden statue. The live animals usually get donated to zoos, but the rule stands. You cannot reject anything. It's the ultimate test of polite social skills and keeping a straight face. Rule 26. King Charles doesn't need a passport to travel internationally. Since all British passports are issued in the name of the monarch, it would be weird for him to give himself permission to travel. He just shows up at borders and they let him through because he's the king. However, every other royal, including Prince William, still needs a regular passport. It's the ultimate, do you know who I am? Flex, but only one person in the entire country gets to use it. Rule 27. Even drinking tea has strict rules in the palace. You must hold the cup with your thumb and index finger, with your middle finger supporting the bottom. Whatever you do, do not extend your pinky finger. That's considered extremely common and rude. You must also sip from the same spot on the rim to avoid messy lipstick marks. A simple cup of tea becomes a complicated, choreographed performance. Does the tea even taste good anymore when you're thinking about 15 different rules while drinking it? Rule 28. Just like the passport, King Charles doesn't need a driver's license or license plates on his personal vehicles. He's the only person in the entire United Kingdom who can legally drive without any documentation. Queen Elizabeth, famously, loved driving herself around in Land Rovers well into her 90s. Imagine never worrying about speeding tickets, expired licenses, or trips to the DMV. For most people, that alone might be worth becoming a monarch. Rule 29. If you're at a royal dinner, you can't just wipe your mouth normally. There's a specific technique. Fold the napkin in half, then use only the inside of the fold to wipe. This ensures no food stains are ever visible to other guests or cameras. The napkin must always look pristine on the outside. It's a tiny detail that normal people would never notice, but in the palace, these micro rules separate the royals from everyone else. Rule 30. If you're invited to Christmas dinner at the King's Sandringham estate, prepare to step on a scale. There's a tradition dating back to King Edward VII where guests are weighed before and after the Christmas meal. The goal? To prove the host fed everyone well, and guests gained at least a pound or two. It's an incredibly intrusive way to verify catering success. Imagine your boss weighing you after the office holiday party to make sure you enjoyed the food. That's actual royal life. Rule 31. When a royal finishes eating, they don't say anything. Instead, they send a secret signal with their knife and fork. Placing them parallel at the 6-mile position means, "I'm done, clear my plate." Leaving them crossed means, "I'm just taking a break." The waitstaff are trained to read these subtle signs and respond instantly without a word being spoken. It's elegant, sure, but also feels like a high-stakes secret language that takes years to master. Rule 32. The British monarch technically owns all unmarked mute swans swimming in open waters across England and Wales. Every year, there's an event called Swan Upping, where the King's official swan marker rows down the Thames River, catches swans, and counts them. Centuries ago, swans were a luxury food, eaten only by royalty. Today, nobody eats them. But the King still technically owns thousands of aggressive white birds. It's one of the strangest royal perks that most people have never heard of. Rule 33.4. Royal women showing bare legs in public is considered completely unacceptable. Protocol demands that they wear nude tights or pantyhose at all times during official events. It doesn't matter if it's a boiling hot summer day or a tropical tour, those legs must be covered. It's meant to look modest and polished, but it sounds like a sweaty nightmare. Yet another example of how royal women must prioritize appearance. Even the royal dogs live by special rules. Queen Elizabeth's famous corgis had their meals prepared by gourmet chefs. Their food was served in order of dog seniority. The oldest dog ate first. They were never allowed to eat regular dog food from a bag. Fresh rabbit, beef, and specially prepared meats only. Served in silver bowls, of course. Honestly, being a royal corgi might have been the best job in the entire monarchy. Better diet than most humans. Rule 35. Every outfit a royal wears is meticulously logged in a computer database. Staff track what they wore, when they wore it, and who they met while wearing it. The goal is to ensure they never repeat the exact same outfit when meeting the same people. It prevents awkward, who wore it best, tabloid comparisons and keeps their image fresh. Imagine having to check a spreadsheet before getting dressed every morning just to make sure you didn't wear that jacket 3 months ago. Rule 36. When your conversation with the king ends, you cannot simply turn around and walk away. Protocol says you must take several steps backwards while facing the monarch before turning around. Showing your back to the king is considered disrespectful. It leads to some awkward moonwalking situations, especially in crowded rooms. Have you ever tried to walk backwards gracefully in formal shoes? It's harder than it sounds, and one stumble would become international news. Rule 37. Royal women are taught a specific way to sit called the Duchess slant. Knees and ankles pressed tightly together, legs tilted to one side. This prevents any unflattering camera angles or wardrobe malfunctions from paparazzi positioned below. It looks elegant, but maintaining that position for a 3-hour state dinner sounds like a painful core workout. Every muscle in their body is managed for public perception. Nothing is natural. Nothing is relaxed. Rule 38. When the king celebrates his official birthday, the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery fires a 41-gun salute in Hyde Park. This isn't a few backyard fireworks. It's a full military operation with cannons and cavalry. If the birthday falls on a Sunday, they wait until Monday because firing guns on the Sabbath would be inappropriate. It's a loud, smoky, expensive way to say happy birthday. How would your neighbors react if you demanded cannons for your party? Rule. And every year when the king travels to open parliament, something bizarre happens. A member of parliament is held hostage at Buckingham Palace until the king returns safely. This tradition dates back centuries when the relationship between monarchs and parliament was so dangerous that the king needed human insurance. Today, the hostage just relaxes in a nice room drinking tea. But the tradition continues as a reminder of how bloody royal politics used to be. Rule 40 royal women are trained to descend staircases without ever looking down at their feet. Chin parallel to the ground, eyes forward, one hand feeling for the railing. The goal is to appear effortless and elegant, even while navigating steep steps in high heels. It's a recipe for a spectacular fall, but somehow they manage it perfectly. Even the simplest movements become theatrical performances. Walking downstairs shouldn't require professional training, but in the palace, it does. Rule 41. When a new monarch is crowned, they technically have an official king's champion. Historically, this person rode into the coronation banquet on a horse, threw down a metal glove, and challenged anyone who doubted the king's right to rule to a fight to the death. Today it's purely ceremonial, but the position still exists. Imagine having a designated bodyguard ready to challenge your haters to literal combat. Medieval traditions die hard in the royal family. Rule 42. When the royal family enters a room or walks in a procession, they must follow strict order of precedence. The person closest to the throne walks first. King Charles leads, then Queen. Camilla, then William and Catherine, and so on down the line. If you're a minor royal, you spend your entire life walking at the back. It's a constant physical reminder of exactly where you rank in the family power structure. Your position in the walking order is your position in life. Rule 43, even in private. Family hierarchy is absolute. Every royal, including princes and princesses, must bow or curtsy to the king and queen the first time they see them each day. It doesn't matter if you're still in pajamas or just woke up. The crown demands respect 24/7. It's the ultimate power move, making your own children and grandchildren bow to you every single morning. Could you handle curtsying to your father before you've even had coffee? Rule 44, King Charles doesn't have a normal name in the traditional sense. His official signature is simply Charles R, with the R standing for Rex, Latin for king. He doesn't need a last name like Windsor, because his title is his identity. He never fills out last name on any form. When you're the king, a single letter is all the identification you'll ever need. It's the ultimate personal branding. One name, one letter, recognized worldwide. Rule 45. Some ancient property agreements require tenants to pay the crown in very strange ways. Instead of normal rent money, they must provide symbolic items like a single red rose, a pair of white gloves, or even a bucket of snow in summer. If they can't deliver the snow, they pay a fine. These feudal dues sound like something from a fantasy novel, but they're still legally binding today. Imagine telling your landlord you'll pay this month's rent in flowers and fancy mittens. Rule 46. Here's one of the strangest government traditions in British history. The king appoints new sheriffs by pricking their names with a silver needle. This started because Queen Elizabeth I was busy doing embroidery when asked to approve a list of names, so she just stabbed the paper with her needle instead of signing. Hundreds of years later, they still use the needle-pricking method. Being poked into office by the monarch is now an official part of British bureaucracy. Rule 47. The late Queen Elizabeth had a secret communication system using her handbag. Moving the bag from one arm to the other was a signal to staff that she wanted to be rescued from a boring conversation. Placing the bag on the dinner table meant the event needed to end within 5 minutes. Her staff were trained to read these tiny movements and respond instantly. It's genius, a way to escape awkward situations without ever saying a rude word. Rule 48. If the king wants to enter the City of London, the tiny financial district in the heart of the capital, he technically must stop at the gate and ask the Lord Mayor for permission. It's an ancient ceremony, symbolizing that even the king must respect the city's independent rights. For someone who rules an entire nation, having to ask permission to enter 1 square mile is a humbling reminder that power has limits. Rule 49. There's an official government job called Warden of the Swans, or Swan Marker, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Since the king owns all unmarked swans, someone has to count them. Every year during Swan-upping week, Officials in traditional uniforms row down the River Thames, catch swans, check their health, and record everything. It's been happening since the 12th century. Professional swan counting might be the strangest job on the government payroll. All right, before we reveal the ultimate royal rule, let's take a moment to crown our winner for the most absurd regulation. After everything we've covered, the banned board games, the funeral outfits, the bagpipe alarms, the backwards walking, our vote goes to the monopoly ban. There's something hilarious about a family that owns actual castles being forbidden, from playing a game about fake real estate because they can't control their competitive rage. Do you agree, or was another rule even crazier? Drop your pick in the comments. And now, for rule number 50. Rule 50, the most powerful rule of all. The king is literally above the law. Under the concept of sovereign immunity, the monarch cannot be arrested, prosecuted in court, or sued by anyone. In theory, King Charles could walk into any store in Britain, take whatever he wanted, and no police officer could legally stop him. He could break any traffic law, any regulation, any rule, and face zero legal consequences. Modern monarchs are very careful to follow the law anyway, but the legal protection exists. It's the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card, and it makes every other rule on this list feel like a mere suggestion. So there you have it. 50 rules that prove the British monarchy is essentially a golden cage wrapped in velvet and diamonds. Yes, they have unimaginable wealth, historic palaces, and global fame. But every meal, every outfit, every step down a staircase is controlled by centuries of bizarre tradition. Which of these rules shocked you the most? Could you survive even one day under this kind of microscopic scrutiny? Let me know in the comments below which rule would break you first. If you enjoyed this journey into royal absurdity, smash that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing content. See you in the next one.